I'm Queen, and just thank you so much for coming. Everybody good?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, as we're closing, this is one of my favorite stories to share. I read an article. Actually, I don't know if I saw it on YouTube. It was, it said, it's 400 trillion chances odd of you being born, right? So if you being human, the chances is 400 trillion in one. And it got me thinking, the battle, not even going into the biology side of things, how things really happen, that all of that just for you to get here and you being a miracle, what is pressing down on you today? And is it worth it, right? Like all the odds. Like your mom could have decided to keep your dad in a friend zone. You wouldn't have been here. Think about it. Or your mom would have thought about going back with her ex. You wouldn't have been here. So it's all of the miracle of life. So my mom, I come from a polygamous family, and my mom is like this beautiful wool hair nurse practitioner, and she passed up all the men that wanted to marry her and said, I want that brother over there, yep, the one with all those wives and 10 plus kids, yes, that is the one I want. And my dad, and she was my dad's last wife, and I'm the last kid from the last wife. So my parents could have literally said, hey, you know what, the Lord has really blessed us, we don't want no more kids. I think by that time my dad had like over 10 children, were 18 plus of us. We have to give honor to the ones that we don't know, right? They could have just said, the Lord had blessed us, you know, we don't need any more children. But they had me. I'm the fourth of the last wife, the last of my mom. So sometimes I have to ask myself, when I scroll down Facebook, look on social media, or hear something about me that is not preferable, is it really worth it? Like I have such a significance that the odds are 400 trillion to 1 to be here. And I come from a polygamous family. So my mom, I just got to tell y'all about her character. She's all soft-spoken and stuff, and she's always having conversations like, daughter, when you grow up, you're going to become a medical doctor. Do you hear me? Mom, I don't want to be a medical doctor. When you go to medical school, you will do well. That was my mom. And then you have my dad on the other side. He's like this broad shoulder. He's like a commander. He has all this security guards underneath him. He's just living life. That's his life. He's throwing parties. He's like, life is too short. Let's do what we can do. And he will always share with us during storytelling this quote. It's African proverbs. Y'all know about African people and their proverbs. Unless a lion learns to write, the hunter will always be glorified. So if you're not sharing your story, chances that somebody else is sharing it for you. How many times have you heard something about yourself, your miracle self? 400 trillion to 1 chances that you're like, that's not me. And you're like, actually, that's not me. Somebody is writing your story. And I never really understood that till I grew older and moved to this country. I never really understood that concept, that until you take your ownership of your narrative, somebody would always speak for you. And so I was looking at through the Bible, of course, and the woman with the issue of blood came up. And my father would always say right after their proverbs is, so if you find a story that is not accurate, your job is not to chase the lies. Your job is just to change the narrative. And with the woman with the issue of blood, you see her, and she's only known by her issues. She's been bleeding for 12 whole years, and she's only known by her issues. Basically, the areas in her life, there's more to her than her issues, right? But it's just these areas in her life, she can't stop the bleeding. That's the one everybody wants to talk about, and they just label her that. They're just like, oh, Sarah, issues, you know? As if she doesn't have a life. We just want to know about the things that we want to label her. So you see this woman, what are some of the labels that they put on us? You know, crazy, women that can have kids is, oh, you're infertile, barren, all of these labels, refugee, mental illness, that they put on us, and they just put you in a box, and they say, this is where you belong, as if you were in a miracle, 400 trillion chances to 1, and you're right here because this area of your life is just bleeding excessively. So in this story, you see this woman, she does exactly what my father always tried to teach us, is changing the narrative. She had suffered in the hands of so many doctors, people that had probably promised her that I can help you with this, and taken her money too. Came alongside to help her. We see that in friendships, we see that in different things, and then took her money, and then she still was not helped. She decides to change the narrative, and she says, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, right? So she pushes through the crowd, and she touches the hem of his garment. And in everything, all those labels, all those years, she'd been called so many names, different things, maybe things that she can't even say in public. You know how that is. I've been called names that I can't even say it out in public. Anything that he could call her at that moment, he called her daughter. Because in everybody's core, we want to feel like we belong. And it doesn't matter what the labels are that the world has labeled us, you are somebody's daughter. And you belong. And that's the one thing that he calls her, because it's like, I don't care what journey you've been on, I don't care what you've done in your past, you're a miracle that came from somebody. We have the right to gain access into places that people don't think we belong. We have severe significance because there's been a lot that has gone on in the world just for us to be here. We are his and we are his daughter. Thank you. Aww.